Hello, my friends, and welcome to live coverage of England Nationals. My name's Riley Knight, and I'm joined by Simon Gertzen, the Pro Tour champion. And on your screen, we have the players settled, ready to go, calm, cool, collected. The semi-finals of this tournament are upon us. And of course, Simon, as we mentioned, between Pete Ward and Autumn Burchett, the winner of this one is on the English national team.
And Autumn starting off because she's the highest seed at the tournament.
Yeah, hasn't lost a match all weekend here. Autumn's done very, very well indeed, snagging an undefeated record going into the top 8 and maintaining it all the way to the semis. Which
we don't receive very often at all at any kind of event. Of course, it's a little bit easier in a 12-round event than in a 15-round event, but still, this is very impressive.
And she's off to a great start here, Burchett, with a servant of the conduit. Pete Ward is not interested in any extra mana for Burchett being generated, so a fatal push is going to take care of that. And the double crypt breaker draw from Pete Ward,
which is also an incredible start here, using his mana super efficiently, screwing Burchett now, who is mana screwed.
Oh dear.
And maybe he's going to pull ahead very quickly here.
Yeah, that was a very, very useful deployment of that fatal push. Of course, I mean, he wasn't to know that Burchett didn't have a third land, but given that she didn't, that was a bit of a backbreaking play here as Ward gets a relentless dead down. So he can start drawing cards if he wants to. Looks like he's going to do just that, go down to 20 and start snagging some of that card advantage now. Is he on the lookout for another land as well, Simon?
He was, and he did draw a land.
Hit it. There we go. Good stuff from him. Burchett is going to have to find a land here, otherwise it could be lights out, and the perfect one off the top Spire Bluff Canal.
She was missing red mana up until this point.
Yes, indeed. We saw the Lumbering Falls into Forest, and now a Spire Bluff Canal. And so a little bit of a stumble there for Burchett, but she's going to be able to continue, you would think. Crypt Breaker, one of these cards we've seen out of the zombie list, giving them a huge amount of late game, drawing extra cards, making zombies, doing everything that you need out of this one mana 1/1.
Yeah, for a 1 mana card, this card does a tremendous amount.
And you can see that Burchett really respects it as an Abrade is going to eat one of them.
Yeah, killing one Crypt Breaker though is not really accomplishing all that much.
No, because almost certainly Pete Ward will have a second or a third zombie, I should say, to continue to draw cards off of the Crypt Breaker here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I like that play from Autumn, because Pete is so likely to play another zombie this turn.
Yeah, I mean, trading down on cards, that Crypt Breaker has already drawn one card. But Burchett, I mean, I don't know what the contents of her hand are fully here. We haven't had a good look at it, but her back is against the wall already in even this early stage here. Pete Ward with the zombie strategy that, I mean, we haven't seen a lot of zombies recently. Diagraph Colossus comes down. It's going to get a +1/+1 counter thanks to the Crypt Breaker.
And Pete is able to leave open a black mana again and draw that extra card. This is how the zombies deck wins.
Yeah, you would think here you just want to attack, get in there for the damage, that sort of stuff, but it's a little bit of a different bent to this aggro deck.
This zombie deck is not really an all-out aggressive deck. It's, as you can see, it's easily able to overwhelm almost all strategies, creature and control strategies in the format.
So a Crypt Breaker after this Diagraph Colossus means that Pete Ward will gain another zombie. It does enter tapped, however. You can see the Diagraph Colossus on your screen there, living large. And this card, great before you've cast a bunch of zombies, and also great after you've cast a bunch of zombies, as it, as it will come in as a larger man.
And Autumn is too far behind here. She is playing a mid-range creature deck that will just get eaten alive here.
With 4 mana, what's the play? Bristling Hydra could come down for 4.
Woodland Wanderer.
Woodland Wanderer instead. Well, that's not too bad. It's going to come in with 3 +1/+1 counters. So 4 mana 5/5 Vigilance and Trample, thanks to the Converge mechanic. Not a card we've seen a lot of, but an interesting inclusion in these 4-color lists, of course. 4 mana 6/6 is certainly no joke. Pete Ward still in a commanding position. Draw as many cards as you want, really.
No, he only has to be careful to close out the game at some point. What Pete cannot allow to happen is any amount of Bristling Hydras and 5 drops to come down, because then he will have trouble closing out this game.
Draws a card. Tapping the Diagraph Colossus.
Yeah, he was sure that he wasn't going to attack or block with it this turn.
Okay. That makes good sense.
Now something like a Dark Salvation would be absolutely backbreaking.
Well, it's 3 mana. Oh, it's a Lord of the Accursed. That's not a bad one either. So as a zombie, it's going to create another token thanks to the Digraph Colossus, and we see now this board just continue to grow. A pair of 3/3s.
And Pete has
Relentless Dead and the zombie token.
Pete has more cards he wants to deploy. He has at least one 5-drop in Liliana's Mastery, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him continue drawing cards here.
Yeah.
Or if he has a 1-drop zombie, then
no, just the Dark Salvation you talked about.
Just the Dark Salvation.
And enough for Autumn Burchett to scoop him up here. Burchett going down in game number 1 after a slower start from her. That Servant of the Conduit really eating that fatal push was where things all of a sudden broke bad for her.
She was on the play with the Mana Accelerant, and Pete Ward took that time to deploy that fatal push. He knew how important that Mana Acceleration is, and Autumn just missing that land drop for 1 turn was enough to lose her the game.
Yeah, you know, also the other thing to consider is Ward did have a very strong start, not the most aggressive and quick start, but just buried Burchett in card advantage and in board presence. And so as a result, we move over to our other table. We have Ross Broxup against Quentin Martin. We talked about these two guys already a little bit, and it looks like Broxup is looking to get some attacks in here. Martin has eschewed black in his vehicles list here, although he is playing some colorless cards.
Yeah, I have to say I haven't seen him much in the constructed portions.
No,
I've seen him mostly in draft. And we've entered the Planeswalker stage of the game.
Yep, Chandra the Torch of Defiance done a lot of heavy lifting in the recent months in Standard.
I assume
after a quiet entry to the to the format, I have
relatively
to say.
quiet. True. Yeah. I assume that she's being attacked here for 4/5.
Yes, looks to be the case. As a Thopter is going to keep away at least one. Sorry, there was double block there with the Thraben Inspector.
Yeah, preferring that over, for example, blocking the Exemplar.
Makes good sense. So Martin, 5 cards in his hand. What can he find now? I don't think this Chandra is long for the world based on the cards that Broxup has played so far. Interesting to see. He hasn't played a lot of lands out so far, just the 3 of them.
Now, maybe he's also holding Planeswalkers but cannot deploy them. Martin, I think, might even want to just generate 2 mana with Chandra to
dump his hand.
To dump his hand. He has 5 cards in hand. Getting another one is maybe not... If you have good cards to play, is maybe not what you want. But he's limited in his white mana, actually.
Well, he's going to play another Planeswalker here.
Gideon is double white, and most of the cards in his hands are also white.
So Martin plays a Knight after the Gideon, and we're going to see 2 more mana. And with that, it's going to be a braid on the Toolcraft Exemplar.
I think this is a very smart play. This is how you foster that advantage.
Yeah, he doesn't need to play more cards off the top of his library. He does already have the cards that he can deploy from his hand. And he's really looking to get to his next untapped step with one, if not both of those Planeswalkers still alive. And at this stage, it's looking likely.
Yes, and you can still, because it's so unlikely that Chandra dies this turn, you can still generate that card advantage later.
And look at that. He's really going to turn the corner here. 2 unthreatened Planeswalkers. A Heart of Kieran off the top as well as a nice pickup. He can start putting some pressure on here.
Heart of Kieran is a great answer to the opposing Heart because you do protect your Planeswalkers very well that way.
So Veteran Motorist now for Quentin Martin. Scry's 2. Whoa, hello. Flip those cards over nice and quick. Accidentally revealing what's going on in his hand here.
Some sleight of hand.
Yes. Not quite. I think it was more the big fumbleski there. Gee, this must be a hard decision. I mean, good old think about this, Scry.
It's probably a bit more complicated because you have to consider the fact that you might be using Chandra to exile the card you're putting on top, but if you don't want it, maybe it's still better to put it on the bottom. These kind of things.
2 more mana. Looks like Martin will commit this Heart of Kieran to the board.
But this means Chandra is not doing anything this turn.
No, that's true. Well, ding Broxup for 2, but that's not the market that he's looking to buy into.
Which is something.
Well, double Veteran Motorist in Quentin Martin's hand here. But
only a single white source, so...
Well, he could play one of the Motorists and then play the Heart from the
Yeah,
Chandra.
this is what he's now considering.
Okay.
One of the motorists is already in play.
Nope.
So now
Okay, it's going to be a mountain instead. So ding Broxup for 2. Geez, if he could, I'm sure he'd love to play that mountain instead of exiling it there. But as it is, what do you do here? The heart, or do you go after the motorist? Does he have any energy?
He doesn't have white
Doesn't have
mana.
any, no, doesn't have any energy. Okay, well, that decision makes itself.
We don't see the energy count, but I think he used the last one for Gideon. The last energy for Gideon.
Yeah, that is true.
If you remember, he played Gideon and Braid exactly for that reason. He could have played Gideon and Motorist otherwise. This is what I was wondering. Do you actually emblem here? And I like the decision. I think players don't emblem often enough.
He does have a Gideon of the Trials emblem in play, which is not exactly the emblem that he's got, but we all understand it's an anthem effect. All of his creatures get +1/+1. So we get that swapped one, that one swapped out for the correct one there.
You're being very pedantic.
I think it's actually quite relevant.
I love it.
Yeah?
No, I love it. You being pedantic.
Oh, you love me being pedantic. It is indeed a very important thing to note, the fact that he does have the wrong emblem out in play.
I wouldn't have been able to tell, to be honest.
Oh, well, there you go. Have a look at his face. He's different. He's wearing his facial hair's looking
now that you say it, yes.
Mildly different. Okay, another one. Oh dear. Okay, well, just to be very clear, those emblems are +1/+1 emblems, not you can't lose the game emblems. So,
despite that fact, it does mean that we have kind of a standoff regarding the creatures, because it affects all creatures equivalently. It's just relevant for the person with more creatures overall in play, which I think will be Quentin in the long run.
I mean, there are effects that there we go, very good, much better. There are effects that these emblems have. For example, if there's a walking ballista on either side, this means that those veteran motorists are no longer the juicy targets they were before. But largely speaking, Simon, does it now mean, do the emblems kind of cancel each other out?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. As long as there is not an overwhelming advantage for one player, meaning that we actually get to deal combat damage to planeswalkers or players, they largely cancel each other out. And the most important thing here is actually the Heart of Kiran battle that is being fought, which now it's a heart, 2 motorists, and an emblem on one side against a heart, an emblem, and only a single motorist on the other side. But this is a dangerous...
This is a dangerous game.
Dangerous block.
Yeah, and I think that Quentin Martin is going away to have a question that we can answer here for him, because...
I can answer it before you ask the question.
Wow, Simon Gertzen, you've read my mind. Go ahead.
If there is a crude Heart of Kiran that is attacking and, for example, blocked by another Heart of Kiran, you can still crew it again with an untapped veteran motorist to give it the +1/+1 bonus again.
Which makes perfect sense from a flavour standpoint. We are having a great... Yep, I've just seen the green flag has been waved by the flavour judge, because, from a flavour perspective, just chuck another pilot on board.
It's a co-pilot.
Yeah, co-pilot, exactly.
So it's actually... we call it the co-pilot rule.
Yeah.
The co-pilot effect.
The co-pilot effect. It doesn't come up very often, but in these cases here, I mean, it's very simple to think about here as we see the co-pilot jump on board in the Heart of Kiran. If you have a Heart of Kiran crewed by 1 creature, it's going to be even better when it's crewed by 2. Chandra goes upstairs.
So this just ended up being a chump rock after all that was said and done.
Essentially. And an Ethersphere Harvester now, thanks to the extra mana from Chandra, Torch of Defiance. We're going to check back in with our main match now. These guys have continued on with game number 2. Of course, Autumn Burchett going down in the first game, but hopefully off to a better start here from the 4-colour energy list after Pete Ward took down game number 1. Looks like he's off to a reasonable start with a Dread Wanderer, and Burchett, no mana issues this time for her. Although, well, I say that, no mana issues outside of the fact that her basic lands are mismatched, but Pete Ward also guilty of that sin. I would say Burchett definitely acquitting herself worse on that front, however, because they're from different sets as well.
The 2 extra energy from Attune with Ether here is quite valuable, because you do need some way to kickstart that Long Tusk Cup. However, Pete Ward passing with 2 mana up and As we've seen before, that usually means there's a removal spell waiting.
Grasp of Darkness, Fatal Push, something along those lines. I don't think this Long Tusk Cub is long for the world here.
And there's this actually enables a really nice play where you'll block first, and then when Burchett goes for the pump, you then use the removal spell to deny the energy. However, Pete doesn't have anything.
Just the stone cold nothing here. Or is he perhaps waiting to see if there's a juicier target for his removal spell?
There is not much that's juicier than a turn 2 Long Tusk Cub.
Jeez, well that's not what the zombie player wants to be doing. Absolutely nothing on turn 2. I mean, even with mana available, that's not good stuff here from Pete Ward. There is the Long Tusk Cub, as we can see, getting in up and about, and already bolstering the energy count of Burchett, which is up to 4 thanks to that Servant of the Conduit.
And this is the kind of matchup where both decks, although a bit differently, try to snowball out of control. And now I think we might see the reverse of game 1, where Autumn just manages to put her energy creatures out of reach of the zombies.
Dark Salvation is going to remove that Servant of the Conduit, giving it -2/-2, of course.
Huge.
Ward has 2 zombies.
Huge swing.
Is it really?
Yeah, huge swing on the battlefield. Denying a mana from Autumn, the fourth mana might not be available to her this turn, and just basically swapping the power balance completely.
Yeah, almost like a little mind control type effect there.
Very similar, yeah.
Yeah, didn't think about it in that way. That is a little bit of a swing here.
Which you usually don't get for 3 mana, right? That's
well, no. But Long Tusk Cub, I mean, the thing is, this card is still very threatening, and with 3 activations available to Burchett.
Long Tusk Cub is also more powerful than what you usually get for 2 mana.
That is also very true. An attack with the Cub. And Pete Ward without good options here. He's going to take an absolute pasting, though. I mean, this creature can grow to a 6/6.
Exactly. So a 2/2 is not even close to being able to block it.
Jeez.
So Long Tusk Cub is actually creating...
Just go all in here, surely.
Yeah, but very likely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just mate, slap him around some.
And Pete needs to find that Fatal Push.
Yeah.
And even that Fatal Push is kind of a weird card because, as the game goes longer, most other creatures you don't really want to Fatal Push, or you cannot even Fatal Push in this matchup. So the amount of removal you keep in as the zombie player after sideboarding is really not so easy to answer.
So Burchett now sitting pretty behind a 6/6. Quite incredible. Crypt Breaker. Pete Ward is not looking to, make the plays, drawing cards and playing a slower game in the face of a 6/6, unless he's got the removal spell.
That's what I would probably try to do. If you don't have anything else, you have to find that removal. Grasp of Darkness is not enough anymore.
No, I understand, but the point here is that this is, in an ideal world, he needs to get rid of that Long Tusk Cub before he starts fiddly fighting around, drawing extra cards and doing these sorts of things, because this is putting him under a huge amount of pressure.
But what do you do if you don't have the Fatal Push? You have to search for it.
You dig for it. That's certainly the case here.
This might be a response, actually, to Crypt Breaker.
It may indeed be that, because, of course, as soon as the Crypt Breaker hits the battlefield, Ward can draw. But, Burchett, she's not worried. Do what you want, mate, she says. So Ward now. Got to consider his options. As we said, Crypt Breaker, an engine that gets the zombie deck over the top in the late game, in addition to cards like Liliana's Mastery, these very powerful and high-impact, expensive cards. Crypt Breaker, as a 1-mana 1/1, still has the legs to carry this mono-black deck through to the late game. Draw a card here. Pete Ward down to 10. Needs to find Fatal Push.
Is this the face of a man that has just drawn a Fatal Push?
This is the face of a man who... It doesn't seem remarkably clear at this stage. No, it's a Dread Wanderer. All right. Back to Burchett now. Looks like she does have something to say about it. Are we going to see a land cycled away? Are we going to see an Abrade? What could it be?
It's going to be removal, and Autumn was wondering if she should point that removal at a creature in response to the Crypt Breaker.
So Harness Lightning, it seems to be the card.
But if it's Harness Lightning, you just kill the Crypt Breaker, I think.
Yes, indeed. All right.
It even nets you a +2 on energy.
On energy, yep. one more counter for your Long Tusk Cub.
We are 1 damage away from lethal.
What's that?
No, we're 2 damage away from lethal.
The Long Tusk Cub can grow to an 8/8, and Pete Ward is, he is tapped out with nowhere to go here. An attack. Just dump those counters on there, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it has worked so far.
Yeah, just get him in there, old mate. Are we going to see that? Or is Ward next leveling us all here? Burchett pumps up the long tusk cub. Ooh, and Pete Ward goes reaching for his pen. Burchett, 2 more energy for her. And the follow-up play, if it's a Chandra, then it's going to be all over Red Rover. No. It is indeed the Woodland Wanderer for 3. Ward untaps, draws on 2 life.
Now he needs, I think, too many miracles. He has the huge creature that he has to block every turn, but also the 5/5 Wanderer has trample. So that's somehow too many chump blockers to muster.
And yes, finding the removal for the 5/5 in addition to the 8/8 is going to be difficult. 1 copy of Fatal Push won't even get him there.
No, what you would need here is a land and another Dark Salvation, or a 1-drop and a Dark Salvation to get rid of the Wanderer. Then you can start chump blocking the Cup, which is also difficult because how many creatures do you hold back to chump block?
Yeah.
That, with the knowledge that every removal spell removes, of course, one of your blockers.
Scavenger Grounds. Okay.
Oh, it's not Dark Salvation? Yeah, it
It
is.
is Dark Salvation. Okay, that's going to change things here.
Wow, if he also has Liliana's Mastery?
So 2 more zombies means that the Woodland Wanderer is going to get -5/-5 exactly. And Pete Ward is looking to get on the front foot here as well.
And is this card
Hour of Glory? Hour of Glory sitting in his hand.
That is a solution to a long tusk.
That is going to make it. That's going to get it done. That is going to get it done, although it's rather expensive, of course, but still a nice option for removal here.
2 removal spells from Autumn Burchett means that Long Tusk Cup is connecting the turn before Pete can kill it.
She's just got the 2. Just dumped him on the table just like that, and Pete Ward with that attack. All 3 creatures, meaning that Burchett was able to clear the board and get rid of the blockers and get in there for the final points.
Yep.
Good stuff from her. Wow, she's done really well to equalise now as the players hit their sideboards for the final time, and for one of them, final time in this tournament.
And now Pete is sitting there shuffling up thinking, did I have to hold back 3 creatures?
Where did that go wrong? Back to Ross Broxup and Quentin Martin, and it looks like not too much has changed here. Look at this. We don't have just a co-pilot. We've got a co-pilot, the assistant to the regional co-pilot here, in the form of triple
they look like
motorists here.
They look like lands, right?
Yeah, they do.
They're like resources to animate other things.
Oh, but we've got the pilot exemplar.
Yeah, which
so we've got even more. We've got a vice co-pilot.
This looks so lopsided.
It's just all over because I mean, how can you fight against that many pilots? Yeah. You can't.
All over Red Rover.
All over Red and White Rover here as the Red-White Vehicles deck takes it out in game number 1. Ross Broxup was looking to do some pretty ferocious catch-up there, and it just obviously didn't work out for him. So the players having access to each other's deck lists, and right now we have the Coverage's own Shuffle Cam, unfortunately. Let's talk about this matchup between Zombies and Teemo. You have characterized it as an unfavorable one for Zombies. You've talked about it being more or less the only reason that Zombies has failed to flourish in recent times.
This, and also Zombies has a surprisingly difficult time against certain control decks. We don't have to go into details, but for example, if you play against Approach of the Second Sun, you're really good at dealing with creatures on the board, but not so good about dealing with great fumigates and approaches.
That's true, and I mean a lot of the creatures, even in the face of something like a fumigate, I mean mass removal good against any creature-based deck, but something like a fumigate wouldn't be as backbreaking against all the Dread Wanderers of the world, all of the Digraph Colossi of the world. But the thing that makes again a little bit different is cards like Cast Out are played in the approach decks, which can really be a spanner in the works of the zombie lists.
So this matchup, however, is all about board presence.
Okay.
So why I think this matchup favors Teamer Energy or 4-color Energy is because of the big creatures. And I count Long Tusk Cub as a big creature. Long Tusk Cub, the Hydra that's always threatening to become hexproof, and also cards like Glorybringer.
Yeah.
You're sitting there with your Fatal Pushes, and you can never be certain that you're going to have the right answer for the threat that the Teamer deck is going to pose. At the same time, if you hold up 2 mana for Grasp of Darkness the whole game, you're probably losing the tempo game. This is why I've played this matchup from the zombie side, and it's not a matchup you're happy to face in my experience.
I mean, obviously Pete Ward has been able to maneuver through a field that has been not I wouldn't say dominated, but heavily populated by Teamer Energy or Four Color Energy. So he knows his way around the matchup. But all the same, you make some interesting points. I think the Teamer Energy deck or the Four Color Energy deck, the removal that it can bring to bear against the Zombies deck is obviously very efficient and effective. And the fact they back it up with efficient and effective threats of their own means that, there's enough interaction that the Zombie list can't enact this synergy-based game plan that they can against, for example, a deck like Ramming Up Red.
They also don't get the same amount of board presence going. So every Lord is somehow weaker. And once the Zombie deck starts blocking, it certainly doesn't feel as powerful as before. If your life total is under pressure, Crypt Breaker feels a lot less powerful than against a deck that doesn't really raise you at all.
Yeah.
And like I said, if there you need your really one of your best draws to compete with the regular Teamer Energy deck draw, because we all know it's always so consistent.
Well, what about the black splash here for the team? We're calling this Team of Black now. We do have the Scarab God as the favoured sort of finisher in these Teamer decks. Does that change things enormously from the? Does it make things worse or maybe a little bit better, or how's it go in this matchup here?
I don't think that the Scarab God is improving the matchup for Teamer Black.
Okay.
Because this is not the matchup that it's made for.
I see.
It's still an annoying card to play against, but I would much rather be facing a 4-color deck that maybe has some other inconsistencies, that is trying to play this God and play for the long game, where I can beat that with Crypt Breakers, with Dark Salvations, with Liliana's Masteries. But just the raw power of Teamer Energy, and I'm like Attune with Ether, Long Tusk Cup, one of the many 3-drop value creatures, and then Hydras, Glory Bringers. This is what I'm really scared of.
I see. So when you're thinking, as a Zombies player, when you're thinking about a card like the Scarab God, that's not pinging on your radar as like the card you need to watch out for.
No,
and that's not why the card's there, in fairness.
We might not even have to watch out for it after sideboarding.
Okay, maybe think it's hitting the board. Yeah, I mean, and in fairness, this isn't what the Teamer Energy decks are leaning on to beat Zombies. It's obviously it's the spicy mirror tech. It's the way to attack different decks from another angle. But yeah, I mean, people aren't coming into tournaments with Zombies as their sort of number one target, I would say, today. And maybe Pete Ward's been able to take advantage of that, finding himself a spot in the top 8 after a 9-2 finish, an X2 finish. This guy has done really well, and maybe that's because people aren't ready for Dread Wanderers. And
he is on the play for the first time this match.
That's going to be really important here. Burchett starts things off with a Lumbering Falls. And Ward getting aggressive nice and early here. Burchett down to 18.
If you can curve 1 into 2, you are very happy with the zombie deck.
Oh, he hasn't done it. He may be holding up a removal spell here.
He's actually holding 2 2-drops, Grasp of Darkness and Relentless Dead. So he doesn't want to lose his Relentless Dead to removal.
Yep.
At the same time, he knows that Long Tusk Cup is a huge threat.
Yep. And even sniping a Servant of the Conduit is always going to be a nice play against the 4-color energy list. So smart stuff from Pete Ward here, and now he can play this Relentless Dead and ensure that it comes back to his hand should Autumn Burchett look to be messing with it.
Mm-hmm. And what he needs now is Crypt Breaker. Diagraph Colossus is not bad, but on its own, it's a little bit anemic. And then the powerful 5-drops.
Rogue Refiner, 2 more energy for Burchett here. And it's going to draw her a card as well. And we ship it back to Ward now, who is obviously going to look to continue to maintain this presence that he has on the battlefield. He's able to contest this battlefield very strongly with these 2 power creatures.
But can he add something to the board? 4 damage a turn is nothing that will beat a Teamer Energy deck.
Well, for the time being, that's all he's got, as these 2 power 2-drops, or 2 power zombies get across here.
I can't imagine Autumn blocking the Dread Wanderer here. That would be a very extreme play. Pete still has four cards in hand, so the Dread Wanderer is not coming back anytime soon, but I would be a bit surprised.
All right, well, looks like Burchett is considering the block here. Confused look on her face. What's going on?
She does have a lot of good 4-drops. One of them being a Planeswalker. in Chandra, she also has the Woodland Wanderer. So it's possible that she's assessing her hand as being really good for a late game situation, and just wants to protect her life total and any future planeswalkers.
And her planeswalkers, yeah, that's the other point as well. Of course, every creature that leaves the battlefield is one less that can be, or one fewer, I should say, that can be attacking a planeswalker later on. Diagraph Colossus comes down.
And if that gets sniped with Chandra, I think it's a good exchange for Autumn, even if she loses the planeswalker immediately afterwards.
Well, 4 mana. It is Chandra and Flame Slash immediately. Look at that, yes. 1 loyalty counter remaining after the Diagraph Colossus dies, and that's not a bad turn.
Look at the alternative. You play Woodland Wanderer. If Pete has 2 zombies in hand, he suddenly has 6 creatures.
Yeah, and this turn here has just been destroy target creature, gain a little bit of life, another Diagraph Colossus, and Pete doesn't have anything to follow it up here.
Yeah, which tells Autumn that he's out of zombies. He's also, I think, on 1 card. So that could be a land. It could also be Grasp of Darkness or Fatal Push.
Burchett, she's got a lot of cards in hand, one of which is attuned with Ether here.
Here you can also see how good a card like Glorybringer would be. If Pete doesn't have exactly Grasp of Darkness, Glorybringer is insane on this board.
At this point, I think that Relentless Dead, he'd prefer it to, obviously, to at some point die to bring back some of these Diagraph Colossi and so forth.
Well, you do need a lot of mana for that.
Yeah, that is very true.
Okay, she does have untapped mana, so she has actually all the options in the world here.
Well, Attune with Aether is going to kick things off here for Burchett. Go up to 5 energy. She's playing very carefully here.
It's not easy.
No.
And of course, we are talking about one game where she is under pressure deciding whether she will be able to represent England at the World Magic Cup.
Yeah, this is very high stakes. It's worth going across this again. Of course, this is our semi-final at the English national competition here, the National Championships of England, which means that the winner of this game, the winner of this, not even this match, this game right now between Pete Ward and Burchett, whoever wins here will be representing England at the World Magic Cup in Nice later on in the year. I mean, we still have the finals to go. We still have a national champion to find out. But right now, this match between these two will determine one of the slots at the World Magic Cup. So they are playing for huge stakes here. And as a Woodland Wanderer comes down, going to be a 6/6. No worries, thanks to that Ether Hub. And Zimon, this is going to affect the way that people play. You can talk about being, cool, calm, collected, whatever else, but at some level, it's going to niggle at you in your psychological game. And I mean, even people with the strongest mental game in the world are still going to have that pressure on them.
And we just saw that Pete was in fact holding a swamp. He drew a Relentless Dead,
oh dear.
Which is not a bad draw because now with 4 mana open, every Relentless Dead dying is actually a huge benefit for Pete. But if Autumn knows to prevent that from happening, then Pete is actually not in the best situation if his board gets cleared.
Yeah, so you just don't block here. Burchett not interested in blocking.
Blocking was really not an option because of menace, but
sure.
We might actually see Autumn not attacking because of that reason.
So Ward can't snap off the block with the Relentless Dead and get back this Diagraph Colossus.
And the Relentless Dead. So you would really do your opponent a favor there. And it's rare that you don't want to attack with your 6/6 Vigilance Trample.
It is very rare, but in this case, let's go through what would happen here. An attack with a 6/6 Vigilance Trample would mean a block with the Relentless Dead. The trigger would return it to Ward's hand and Diagraph Colossus to the battlefield. Next turn, that Relentless Dead would then generate 2 more zombie tokens.
And threaten the same thing again.
Yes. So this is one of the engines that, it is slow, it is ponderous and lumbering, but Relentless Dead does give this zombie deck a lot of play, as well as being a 2/2, evasive threat.
Menace creature, yes. And kind of unblockable for the reasons that we already mentioned.
Yeah.
So Autumn might need to find ways to exile Relentless Deaths from the battlefield in the long run.
And she does have access to cards like Magma Spray. Was there even one perhaps in hand?
I don't think she would be tapping like that if that was the case. Looks like Chandra mana.
It is a Chandra, the second one. I think she has a Magma Spray in hand. Is that the case? Maybe not. Perhaps not. Okay, well, upstairs now. Torch Defiance. And Tyler's Tracker. Okay. Another slower, grindier game or card here.
Does she have enough time? If Pete draws a zombie next turn, Dark Salvation, Liliana's Mastery, Autumn is in big trouble.
Sheltered Thicket means a clue token will come down for her, but yeah, the pressure's mounting. No attacks as well as we saw. Talked about the Relentless Dead preventing Burchett from attacking. That's exactly what happened there. So what did Pete Ward draw? We didn't get a look at it.
If this is a potent card, even with Chandra, I don't think you're coming back into this game.
Really?
If this is a swamp,
well, is that the face of a man who has just drawn a swamp?
If this is a swamp, I think Burchett is slowly gaining her advantage here.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the Tireless Tracker, big 6/6 as well. Chandra did grind out some more cards, but Ward, I mean, I suspect there's unless this is a lot of sort of showboating here, there's a decision to be made based on the card that he drew.
Well, there's a decision to be made about the attack as well.
Okay.
Burchett is at 12. You want to pressure her life total ultimately. Ignoring Chandra, however, is a big step. Of course, it's entirely possible that Pete drew some card that influences his decision here.
Mm-hmm.
I can think of Fatal Push
Grasp
of Darkness as the main reasons.
A quiet has settled over the hall here in the final rounds, or the final minutes, you would say, of this match. We are having to keep our voices down so as to prevent anyone in the feature match area from hearing us. And it's a Dark Salvation.
That's a huge draw.
That's huge here because that does take care of the Woodland Wanderer, which was, you know, one of the main defense forces of Burchett. And this is going to be an all-out attack here.
And I think it's all.
Is it this?
It's all on Autumn. I don't think this Chandra has any relevance to the game anymore.
So it looks like we are going to have to block here with the Tireless Tracker. This is a big attack as well. And
there are only two options for the tracker. It's a chump block.
Yeah.
Or it's trading with a zombie token.
Yeah.
Arguably the weakest creature on Pete's board.
It is going to be the trade ski here. And Burchett takes 8. Wow. Zimon, what can she find? She needs something very special from the top of her deck or something hidden away in her hand.
And now is actually the turn where some sort of mass removal would be helpful because the Pete had to tap all but one of his swamps. So returning a 1-drop to the battlefield or a Relentless Dead to your hand, it's still a problem to deal with, but it gives you a lot of time. However, we are looking at a 4-color energy deck. We are not looking at a blue-red control deck that's playing Hour of Devastation for these kind of situations.
So Pete Ward was able to put himself in a position here, somehow, where he could just be moments away from a spot on the English national team. It all depends on this turn here from Burchett, and cracking a clue is a very good sign for Pete Ward. Draws an extra card. She does still have the Chandra activation.
Exactly, to dig one card deeper.
But I don't know what she's looking for here. Tension is palpable here in Derby. Upstairs.
She has not lost a match this weekend.
She has not lost a match the entire weekend. 6 mana. It's the other Chandra. It is a mass removal spell. This card can go downstairs.
-4.
And take care of all of these creatures. What an insane play from Autumn Burchett. I'm doing my very best not to explode with excitement as Pete Ward has to empty out his board. Look at that, Simon! Knocked down to 4. Burchett with the perfect answer there in Chandra Flamecaller. What a play!
I thought that was it.
I thought that was it.
The way she was drawing to her last outs, to her final outs.
I mean, what did she just draw that? Was it hiding out in her hand? Oh, the thespian stylings of Autumn Burchett have just taken us all. And I'm still being told off for being too loud. Pete Ward now. Relentless Dead returns to hand, and the Dread Wanderer returns to the battlefield. A scavenger ground played by him.
Burchett is not out of it.
Not out of it by any stretch, but what an insane play there, the Chandra Flamecaller. 5 more mana here from Burchett.
Glorybringer would be...
It's a Sky Sovereign. It's Sky Sovereign.
That's also good.
That is very good. And a follow-up play now. Another creature needed, and it is Servant of the Conduit. Autumn Burchett could be turning the corner on this match. Pete Ward is going to be able to bring back the Dread Wanderer. He's going to be able to maintain a board presence here with resilient, sticky threats like Relentless Dead. But the best card against the Zombies deck is undoubtedly Sky Sovereign.
But it doesn't really solve the Relentless Dead problem. You have to exile this creature.
Yes, especially when with Pete Ward leaving so much mana up. If Ward has, is able to bring back something like a Digraph Colossus, it's going to be troublesome for Burchett to deal with. A card in hand, it's another swamp as well. Burchett on a knife edge here. Draws. Could be the final card she draws here for the game. She's been doing an incredible job of keeping her head above water here. It's a Magma Spray. It's a Magma Spray, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Magma Spray taking care of the Relentless Dead. This is completely messed with Pete Ward's engine here. He can keep bringing back that Dread Wanderer, but now the engine card of Relentless Dead is gone, and we have Lumbering Falls entering the fray as well, crewing up the Sky Sovereign. And look at this. An attack, getting on the front foot here, taking care of that Dread Wanderer, clearing out the board, and getting in for a bunch of damage, Simon.
Yes, this is the card that she needed. She needed to exile the Relentless Dead, and now Pete Ward is just relying on the top of his deck. He has powerful cards to draw, but actually none of them are as threatening as Relentless Dead, because this was the 2-power menace creature that basically Autumn couldn't afford to kill.
Swamp off the top. That is running lands for Pete Ward as the Dread Wanderer comes back. This game is slowly slipping away from him. What a comeback from Autumn Burchett. Pete Ward needs something very special. We identified Sky Sovereign flagship, the console flagship, as the best card in this matchup. Lumbering Falls once again, crewing the vehicle, and again an attack for 8, and again the Dread Wanderer. This is just the big deja vu here.
And this is the last turn that Pete has to find something.
An unbelievable scene. Autumn Burchett has not lost a match all weekend, and she has turned the corner on this match. Pete Ward brings back the Dread Wanderer. The look on his face, ladies and gentlemen. Burchett draws a card. Are we going to see an incredible victory from Burchett? Again, not having lost a match all weekend. This player's done her very well in the last couple of games. An extension of the hand. Pete Ward is forced to concede to Autumn Burchett, who takes out game number 3 in incredible circumstances, ladies and gentlemen, and of course finds her way to the English national team. And I tell you what, look at the composure on her face.
13 wins, 1 draw.
No worries. This woman is on fire, and she will find her way into the finals, have a shot at the national championship as well. I tell you what, an incredible match to finish off the first of our semi-finals there. But now, of course, it's all business on table number 2. But congratulations, Autumn Burchett, finding her way into the final, snagging herself a seat at on the English national team, and Zimon, in a fond farewell to one of the format's favourite creatures, it is the 4 of Thraben Inspector. In the face of Quentin Martin here, of course, we saw him take out game number 1 in, prolonged circumstances on the back of his Pilot Tribal deck and a Stasis Snare. We got in just in time to see the 4 of.
All of these inspectors are pumped by a Gideon emblem once again. And I think both of these players have identified the emblem of Gideon actually as one of the best way to win the mirror match, rather than trying to get aggressive with Gideon itself.
Yeah, we saw that exact situation in game number 1. Of course, Quentin Martin came out on top of that one here, but Broxup on the back of these 2 3s here, and Stasis Snare rather embarrassing in the face of them.
Lots of cards in Quentin's graveyard as well. You can tell that.
Another Stasis Snare. Imagine Oblivion Ring here. Go on. Oh, sorry, a detention sphere. Go on.
Detention sphere, yeah. No, you can see that Broxup actually already dealt with a Gideon, with a Depala. He got his creatures removed, but I guess if you are the one drawing 4 Thraben Inspectors, you actually just have those extra resources.
Oh, it's the best card in Standard. Look at that. And Quentin Martin, in the face of it, is going to pack up after having tried to slog through 4 Thraben Inspectors, unable to do it. And so we've got a third game here, Simon.
Yeah, if you remove a mana from Squire and then add a clue on top, it becomes quite the card.
Yeah, apparently so. There we go. So, Burchett, as you see there, Autumn Burchett, the second member of the English national team, she makes her way out of the feature match area. A smile on her face, I imagine. What a weekend she's had.
That Chandra -4 was heard across the ocean.
Yeah, that's it. The pyroclasm heard around the world because, at that point, I mean, what percentage you put her on? 1%, 2%?
When she drew with the clue, that's the move that somebody makes.
Like, oh, geez.
That's just like, okay, who knows? Maybe I draw something. You know?
maybe there's a magical, maybe there's a terminus off the top or something like that. But quite incredible as we see these two gentlemen move over onto our main table here, onto table number 1, for the final game in the final match of the semi-finals here. Of course, the final still to come. Tim Willoughby and the Swedish national champion Joel Larsson will be bringing you all the action as we get into the very last match.
He's the team captain.
He's the team captain.
Not the national.
Oh, sorry, not the national champion. He's the team captain. That's right.
He lost, I think, in his quarterfinals.
In his quarterfinals. No shame in doing that, of course. I think we said the same thing happened to the English team captain here, Niels Muller. But he and Tim Willoughby, of course, will bring you all the action from the finals. But right now it's me, Riley Knight, and you, Simon Gertzen. We're in the feature match area. We're in the booth here at English Nationals. And I tell you what a pleasure it's been to bring you live coverage of the event this weekend. The English sun streaming across the feature match area there. It's a rare occurrence, of course. We didn't come prepared for it. We always bring an umbrella, but never bring a pair of sunglasses.
It was finally raining today when I stepped outside.
Yeah, geez, was chucking it down, wasn't it?
I was waiting for it.
You're ready for it, of course, yep. You can see there, Matthew Light in conjunction with Stephen Leeming in the feature match area. Oh, and we're bringing across the sunshade. There we go. Look at that. Closing the roof at the at Colonial Stadium here to keep that sun out of the eyes of the players.
Quentin, of course, the more experienced player with the better choice of table side.
Yes, yeah, certainly. I mean, was he the higher seed in the tournament?
No, he wasn't.
I don't. Oh, interesting that you don't. Maybe the table side is randomly determined.
I think it's just whoever is fastest.
Whoever's fastest, can put their back to the sun. Well, in this case, certainly Quentin has done a good job for himself here. Although after having lost game 2, he'll have to dig deep if he wants to snag himself that qualification to the WMC.
Well, this is anyone's game. It's a 1-1, and he's on the play in an aggro mirror. So I think he's not too concerned.
Slightly favoured, you would say?
Yeah, slightly favoured. He would prefer to be 2-0, but you can't really be complaining. He was on the draw in game 1 when he won that one. So,
but now on the play, sun to his back.
Very important.
That's where you want to be. So these players shuffling up, getting ready. Quentin Martin putting the finishing touches after having sideboarded. And of course, as we said, Simon, this game will determine the final slot. Congratulations to Autumn Burchett once again after having got herself all the way to the English national team without having dropped a match. That really, I mean, that for me is the highlight of this tournament.
Didn't get got by the undefeated curse. Most Magic tournaments are not won by the player who goes undefeated in the Swiss. Yeah,
we have people going, 13-0-2 or 14-0-1 or whatever else, and then they just scrub out straight away in the quarters.
Yeah, sometimes 17-0, and then they just lose in the quarterfinals, semifinals, anything.
Or even in the finals. Yes. Of course, we have seen that more than once. But no, congratulations to her. A well-earned and hard-fought victory. And be very good to see her in Nice up and about battling for the English team. Of course, one more to go. Ross Broxup and Quentin Martin. One of those two will round out this team, and we'll find out who in just a matter of moments here as these two players get underway with game number 3. Looks like Broxup is the first one to be ready. Quentin Martin still doing the big pile shuffle here.
Do they both have deck boxes with a blue mana symbol on it?
That's just next level. That's just next level. You sit down, you're like, okay, blue mana. Well, they're probably on some kind of blue control deck, or maybe even Team or something, and then black. Getcha. Get you with Scrappy Scrounger.
That's how you make the top 8 of English Nationals.
Absolutely. That's how you make the top 8 of English Nationals any day of the week, mate. On a Tuesday, don't worry about it. Thursday, do it as well. Sunday, not a problem.
What if you have a blue mana symbol in your deck and you are playing blue?
See, that's level 2. That's level 2. And, we may see that moving forward. We may see that moving forward now that this blue deck box technology has sort of run roughshod over the top. It's established itself, But it comes at a cost. That sort of that next level thinking. You can get players who aren't familiar with the deck box metagame,
who didn't watch this coverage.
Who didn't watch this coverage. I mean, you can take people by surprise, but when you're going up to level 2, level 3 in the deck box metagame, I mean, things can really change. Yeah,
because now you really need to figure out which kind of mulligans, which kind of responses to your Mardu deck in the blue deck box are possible.
Exactly. You need to have other people. What is their awareness of these situations? These players now looking at their opening hands. Of course, no consideration for the deck boxes of these games. These guys have deck lists, so they are probably more focused on the deck lists rather than deck boxes when considering their mulligans. Quentin, Martin down to 6. That is not what you want to see.
Q's hand was a disaster.
Was it really?
5 lands and 2 Aetherspear Harvesters. That's just asking for problems.
Yeah.
If you just go land, vehicle, land, vehicle, I don't think you're winning.
No, you're going to get your pants pulled down there for sure. Broxup though, yep, you can see him confirming that he will keep the hand that he's drawn. So
based on his looks, I would say he only has 3 Thraben Spectres in hand.
Okay.
But
again, you can't have everything, and he does have the sun in his eyes as well, so hopefully the 3 Thraben Inspector draw will be good enough for him. We didn't get a good look at his hand. That is just wild speculation here. So, Martin now, down to 6.
Another situation where you are very happy about the existence of this crime mulligan.
Yeah, for sure. It's certainly improved the game. It's just made Magic a better game.
Better tournament sport.
Yep. For sure. We have fewer non-games of Magic, which was the stated objective of the change. So, let's have a look here. Another Aethersphere Harvester. A couple of Abrades hanging out there as well. Looks like a Stasis Snare, but I can't see too many lands.
It's a single land.
Okay, well, going to keep it. And this card. Oh,
Inspiring Advantage.
Look at that, thumping his chest here. Quentin Martin.
But still thinking quite a long time.
Yeah. And he's put it on top, trusting his heart rather than his head. Here we go. Off to the races now with an Inspiring Vantage, kicking things off for Quentin Martin. The final game in the final match of the semi-finals here. Shambling Vent opening things up for Ross Broxup. What has Martin got on the top? It's a Veteran Motorist. So must be a second land here.
Yeah, I think he has a...
Give me that, he says.
He has an Aether Hub.
Okay.
Oh, I thought he was going to use it to cast his spell.
That would be, I mean, that'd be the hottest tech. But no, it is going to be Aether Hub. And we are going to see, I would say, a Veteran Motorist come down. And Martin now needs a land off the top. He needs a land off the top.
But he has 2 scries.
Which is going to really help him get there.
And that's actually why he chose to keep the Motorist on top. Why would you deny yourself the scry too? Putting Motorist on the bottom just seems absurd.
Yep. It's a reasonable threat, and also obviously going to smooth out those draws. And it looks like both cards are going below.
Yeah, and because Quentin is not interested in 1 mana like white 1-drops. With the hand he wants untapped lands. He has the ability to buy some time with the 2 removal spells in his hand, but now dropping an off-curve Thraben Inspector is really not in his interest.
It's not getting anyone anywhere. Yeah.
This is a true mirror here.
Yeah, right now.
Ross also using his 1 energy from Aether Hub to power out the Scry 2 ability. Remember that Ross is on 7 cards, so and on the draw, so he is working with more resources than Quentin, which puts Quentin, which puts the pressure on Quentin to achieve something before card advantage becomes an issue. Card availability, card amount, quantity.
So Broxup now. A couple of cards going on top there by the look of things. Martin finds an untapped land. Okay, all right. We've got a game here now because this means that Martin will continue to develop his mana. Of course, he doesn't have to worry too much about the colours. Broxup with the 3-colour deck and Martin only with 2. Aethersphere Harvester comes down. And I don't think you're attacking here, right?
I don't think so. First of all, you would have attacked before playing the Harvester.
Yeah.
And with a hand of not many creatures, but many removal options, you are definitely not interested in trading your creatures.
Thraben Inspector. Ross Broxup still missing red mana here. Maybe that's what gave him pause, and a Heart of Kieran as well. So this is going to be a juicy, juicy target for Quentin Martin's Abrade. And it looks like this Aethersphere Harvester may open the account here for Martin. And of course, as a 4/6, it's going to be a hefty life swing.
8-point life swings. Every turn it gets in.
Yeah.
Potentially more if Quentin draws even something like an Ether Hub. Neil Smaller? Is that Neil Smaller in the background? I think he's
hiding out. Yeah,
I think he wants to know.
He wants to meet the team. He wants to know who's going to be leading bravely into the World Magic Cup. So we see the Aethersphere Harvester now taking to the skies, and you snap off the lifelink here for sure. Or maybe not with the Ether Hub. What do you think?
Oh, this is red-white vehicle, so Martin's mana is actually very good here, and you can see once again this funny interaction where both motorists are relevant, but of course Abrade does cleanly take out artifacts.
So here, the 4/6 Harvester is going to get in, and again an 8-point life swing, as you mentioned. Broxup down to 16, Martin up to 24 after the lifelink was activated. See those life totals reflected here. Avacyn is in Broxup's hand, in addition to enough lands to cast her, I think, planes as well as this Spire of Industry. So that does mean now Broxup does have access to red mana. He's going to take a point of damage to use it here. And another Veteran Motorist. Scry 2 more. Is Martin pulling ahead here?
No, I don't. I wouldn't say so. He is in a comfortable position, but ultimately this Harvester alone is not going to win you the game.
Broxup on 15 after that activation of Spire of Industry. Ooh, thinks about the Scry 2.
Ooh, interesting.
And then ultimately decides that no, one is better placed on top.
There was a Heart of Kieran in there.
Was it really?
Yeah, and that's a card that, if you don't know about Martin's hand, does look like a great draw.
An attack. Oh, look at this. The two motorists here getting frisky. Although one was just cast, so that's not going to work.
Actually, the Inspector could get in as well.
Yeah.
Maybe the Inspector is better off dissuading the motorist from attacking.
Yeah.
Although, if you're honest, it's very unlikely that the motorist wants to attack.
Back to Martin now. Now his hand obviously is not known by Broxup, and it does have a few problems for him to deal with. I think a Thought Knot's here in addition to a couple of removal spells. We have to be very quiet here.
We do. That's no. This is a hand of 4 removal spells.
Oh jeez. And
this is why Martin is so careful with his creatures and the Harvester that he has. If he loses just one of his creatures, if he loses the motorist, he has nothing. And that's why my answer when you asked me, is he pulling ahead? Yes, of course, from a life total perspective, he is, but it's a very fragile lead.
Broxup looks like he's going to have to take this one on the chin, and it's another 4-point life swing, 8-point life swing, as Martin gains 4 and Broxup loses 4. Of course, the activated or the triggered ability of the Veteran Motorist powering up the Harvester here. And Martin with all the removal in the world.
And Ross decided not to crack his clue.
Broxup has the Avacyn. So this could play, this could wreak havoc here with Martin looking to leverage this removal. We're going to see.
Martin shouldn't have Martin been aware of this? If he's deciding to...
Oh, look at this. Archangel Avacyn comes down after that Harness Lightning.
Yeah,
it looks like we are just going to have a quick word with the judge here. What are your thoughts, Simon?
I'm surprised that Quentin allowed this exchange to happen like it did. Why? Usually if your opponent just does nothing and attacks, and you are forced to play your removal spell, it's often better to do it during your turn.
I see. So if all Martin was, you're saying if all Martin was going to do was blow up one of those Veteran Motorists, he would have been better served doing it in his turn. Yeah. It's like playing against Infect in in Modern.
Or you don't do anything at all. Or maybe you use Stasis Snare to play around Everson.
Okay.
This is deck lists are public at this stage, so
yeah,
Quentin has all the information.
He knows that there are Aversons on the horizon, or at least under consideration here. So that Stasis Snare would have been a better choice. So I think Martin was asking if he had to pay any energy, and he does not. So Harness Lightning just ended up being gain 3 energy.
Yeah, maybe depending on what he announced or what Ross announced when he played the Abyssin. But of course, this is how this should be handled.
Inspiring Vantage off the top for Martin here. It's an unfortunate draw, though. It means he can still leverage this Stasis Snare. It's
actually really nice. This Harness Lightning, even though it didn't kill the creature.
Yeah. Oh, because
the 3 energy is quite relevant.
Represents again more and more life gain, and we're going to see this happen just now. So ultimately, not the huge disaster it could have been here for Martin, especially with that Stasis Snare positioned very well to remove the Avacyn from play.
I would have given Ross the opportunity to block there. It's very unlikely that he blocks the 3/5 Aethersphere Harvester.
4/6.
Yeah, and this is my point. It's very unlikely that he misses it, but you basically denied your opportunity, your opponent opportunity to make a mistake.
And sometimes that will win you games of Magic. Just playing it out, giving your opponent an opportunity to muck something up, can sometimes get you there. And now we see the 3rd Veteran Motorist come down. Broxup once again going for the full 4 by the look of things. But on 11, he's been put under a lot of pressure here. And Heart of Kieran is very easily answered by the second copy of a Braid in Martin's hand.
Even though it looks tremendous on this board.
It really does, but the Martin just has the stone cold answer for it. I mean...
And Broxup is in a difficult spot because of the lifelink, right?
It's incredible.
You're looking at 11 to 19 and you don't want to attack, but actually you would have had 6 power of worth of attacks.
He looks like he's so far ahead on board with the vehicles, with the creatures, that sort of stuff, but it's Martin on the mulligan to 6 after the loosey-goosey keep as well. Has managed to find his way, and it's been this Aethersphere Harvester. It's been Aethersphere Harvester plus Veteran Motorist, but and all the energy.
Also because Ross's draw is completely devoid of removal.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand how we can see a sideboarded game where one person is drawing more removal than they want, and the other one is seeing 0. Because a single removal spell would have made a huge difference here.
So Broxup is going to crew this Heart of Kieran, but in response, it's going to be a Braided.
Maybe Ross just doesn't have the same amount of removal in his sideboard.
This is insane to see. Look at this. Aethersphere Harvester coming across for 4 points of damage, knocking Ross Broxup down to 2, and Quentin Martin, after a hand that, to be honest, when he drew it, looked a little bit more like a foot, he has ended up in a hugely commanding position on 27 life, his opponent on 2, and Broxup is going to have to find something incredibly special here.
Well, no, that's not true. He needs a removal to start with. Just get rid of the Motorist.
And any creature off the top of Martin's deck.
Well, that's now the position that he finds himself in, yes.
Broxup is faced with a very, very tricky puzzle here. I mean, yes, sure, a removal spell knocks out the Motorist, which chucks the keys into the lake for both of these vehicles. But any creature off the top for Martin, essentially, is going to be able to crew that Aethersphere Harvester and get in for the final 3.
And this is such a lopsided game. If you realize that Quentin was the one that mulliganed.
Is he down to 1? He's down to 1. Unlicensed Disintegration on the Veteran Motorist.
He has to go for it, yeah.
Yep. So he is stone cold dead to a card, or a creature card, off the top of Quentin Martin's library and an all-out attack. Martin's like, sure, bring it on me. Bring it on. Right here.
But Quentin could... no, the Motorist was tapped, right?
Yeah, Motorist was tapped for the Aethersphere Harvester. And so Martin knocked down to 14. His life total halved. He doesn't care. Draws a card. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, it's a Heart of Kieran. Daggers.
What is this? We are witnessing some of the tensest games of Magic.
Daggers. And the thing is, Ross Broxup, he's just hit for 13. Oh, sorry, he's just hit for 11. And next turn...
Let's say 10.
10? Sorry. He hit... His opponent was on 27 beforehand. Oh, that's right, because of the unlicensed disintegration. So, he does not have lethal next turn.
He does not have lethal. That's a legendary permanent.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Nothing...
Get that in the graveyard.
Nothing bad has happened.
No.
So even with the Shambling Vans, it's 12 points.
Yes.
This is not lethal.
So, does Broxup have anything to push through the final points of damage?
Broxup, I believe, does not have energy. This means he now doesn't have red mana anymore.
It's a Gideon. It's a Gideon off the top. Look at him sit there. He's looked at his opponent.
That's the lethal anthem effect that he was. He needed 4 points of damage on this.
A Gideon emblem. Quentin Martin forced here to. He had a third of braid in his hand. That keeps him alive for one more turn. This game has had more ups and downs than a roller coaster at Luna Park. Unbelievable scenes here.
Quentin needs
Martin
to draw any creature.
Stretching out. Look at him go. The smile on his face. Like Merv Hughes at the cricket. He can't believe it.
Any creature.
Any creature off the top wins it for Quentin Martin. Any creature off the top. Here it is.
Gideon wins it.
What has he found?
Chandra wins it.
Any planeswalker, any creature, any way.
Burn to the face wins it. What?
It's an Ether Hub and an extension of the hand. Ross Broxup is the third member of the English national team. Commiserations to Quentin Martin, who went down swinging, and look at that, the face of a man flush with relief. Congratulations, Ross Broxup on Mardu vehicles. Finds his way into the finals and finds his way, Simon Gertzen, onto the English national team.
Congratulations.
What a game of Magic we've just seen. What a round of Magic we've just seen. Otto Burchett and Ross Broxup, the ultimate victors. And, of course, you're going to see more of them. The finals are coming up. Tim Willoughby and Yoel Larson looking after you for that one. Simon and I, we've had a great weekend with you this so far throughout the English Nationals. It's time for us to hit the bench. And, of course, Tim and Yoel will be with you. But thanks for sticking with us so far. And don't go anywhere. On the other side of this, the finals of English Nationals will be coming your way. We'll see you soon.